Hello and welcome to today's topic of entrepreneurs and strategic decisions. Last time we talked about the opportunity analysis canvas, and today we'll turn our attention towards decision making, particularly as it's related to entrepreneurship, connecting cognition to those decisions, and talking about what's unique and different for entrepreneurs versus managers in making strategic decisions. So decision making is very much a cognitive process, meaning it's a thinking process, meaning that we have an array of options and choices and alternatives with unknown outcomes, and that we want to make the best decision possible based on the goals and objectives that we have as entrepreneurs. And when you think about decisions, large and small, there are certain commonalities. There is certainly the element of problem definition, and the adage of a problem well defined is half solved, of thinking about alternatives, not necessarily rushing to make the choice to do the first thing that comes to mind, but to think about alternatives, to think about scenarios and situations, and to create a landscape for evaluating those alternatives that we've identified. And then from there, seeking the best alternative based on whatever evaluation criteria and timeline and resources that we're operating within. So with that, when we look at entrepreneurial decision making, what we want to recognize for entrepreneurs is that you're often operating with limited information. You may not have the time or the resources to really capture all of the data and all of the information that you would like to have. There may also be a limited window of opportunity, and that there may be competitors that are already in the market or that will emerge on the market, and that you don't want to take too much time to evaluate and decide what you want to do. That also introduces an element of risk that is typically higher than many existing managers in existing companies, and that you're putting more time and more money on the table. You are also working, again, with that limited information and are trying to do it with relative speed. And what we also mean when we talk about strategic decisions is that there is an element of major consequence. So it's not to say that every decision is strategic. What you may eat for lunch, what color shirt you may wear, might be something that's a bit more casual and certainly wouldn't fall into the realm of strategic decisions. But what we're talking about here are things that involve some major consequences, that there is opportunities, that there are high rewards and perhaps high risk if there is failure. So it's those types of decisions that involve big stakes that we're talking about in the context of strategic decision making. And so when we look at that, we want to recognize that there are a variety of ways to think and evaluate. One is certainly revenue and profit goals. Even as a nonprofit, there may be some level of revenue or financial sustainability that you need to achieve. You can also think about market share and competitive advantage, and to what extent does your decision making improve your access or your brand within the market. Two, there's a question of product superiority and technical advantage. This gets into the features and the functions and the customer value that you're able to develop and deliver. And in all of these, there's some critical analysis of thinking about the right level of resource investment and what makes sense in the context of company commitment. And by company, oftentimes for the entrepreneur, we mean you individually or your founding team. Strategic decisions tend to carry four fundamental characteristics. They are complex. They are uncertain. We expect that we're going to act rationally and that our competitors will react rationally. And there's some element of control that is in play as well. So a combination of these factors are in play for most strategic decisions. And the environment is very dynamic as well. As entrepreneurs, we tend to get very fixed on us individually and what is immediately accessible, what is very local to us. But what we want to recognize with strategic decisions and as we're looking at entrepreneurship in a broad sense, we are a small piece of the total puzzle. And so when you look at where we sit within the total market, which way is up, which way is down, to the left, to the right, is somewhat in question. And we see that here. And that when you evaluate this picture in a larger sense, there are a lot of illusions that are in place, and that we may have thought that we were walking up the stairs. But if you believe that, with trees and the outdoors going this way, we're actually walking somewhat parallel to the ground. Inversely, you see another set of activities and a different orientation here. And when you begin to look throughout the landscape, we see that really which way we're going is a matter of perspective, and that when we work in entrepreneurial environments, things do change. And there are lots of people with lots of ideas that are going different directions that make sense to them. But we might, again, be following that, or we might be traveling counter to that. So it's important to recognize that we're in a very challenging environment when we try and enter new markets and when we try and do innovative things. And so we want to be thoughtful and try and keep a big picture view of things as we're making our decisions. What we also encounter here is that as entrepreneurs, we're doing things that may have not been done before or might not have been done the way that we're trying to do them. That we are without the resources and without the relationships of many established companies. And therefore, uncertainty and complexity is high and consequences are significant. But that can be good for us in that we're doing things that are difficult and that are challenging. And those types of things tend to have higher rewards than doing what's easy. And recognize what's easy for you may be easy for others. And so in that way, by doing difficult things, if you are indeed able to succeed with that, it's going to be difficult for others to follow. So in summary, we've talked a little bit today about entrepreneurial decision makings and how it's critical. It's complex. We want to take a big picture view of things. And we want to recognize that decision making is a unique and a significant task for entrepreneurs. And so in that way, it's important to recognize that we want to think broadly about our ideas. We want to generate alternatives. We want to recognize that things are dynamic. And even as we change and our ideas change, our customers change and our industry changes and our competitors may change. And so it's within all of those different areas that entrepreneurial mindset plays a central role in that. And so for next time, within Chapter 2, we're going to be focusing in on entrepreneurial mindset and what you can do as an active or aspiring entrepreneur to begin to develop and or enhance that entrepreneurial mindset to make more effective entrepreneurial decisions. Thank you.